Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to our Committee of the Whole meeting on Wednesday, November 25th. I call this meeting to order. Confirmation of agenda. Mr. CAO, you had mentioned about changing some things around.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. If council is okay, we would like to remove the procurement and the bids tenders from the agenda and go into in-camera for discussions on the organizational review, if that's okay with council.
It's a reading us.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good?
I don't care.
Okay, so the agenda is altered, that 5C has been removed, and we will then just go without, and we'll have that on another day. So just keep it in your memory and we'll be good. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, general nature thereof?
No.
Adoption of minutes, please.
Moved by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Wells, that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole held on November 18th, 2020 of the 7th Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of South Dundas be adopted as circulated.
Any comments, questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll move into discussion items, and this morning we will be discussing the potential future of the campground and marina operations, and our Supervisor of Parks Recreation, Austin Marcellus, has given us two documents that we went through for his background and his opinion on where we should go with the campground and marina. I guess I can preface this discussion by saying that I think in the end both these operations should be funded on their own and not taxpayer funded, one way or the other, because that's the way they should run as a business. So, and from what I see, it looks good, but I think we need to keep that in mind as we go along. So I'll turn it over to Austin then.
You're on mute, Austin.
Ethan,
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
can you unmute Austin? He can't unmute himself.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Sorry.
No problem. Looks like we can't unmute him from here. We've sent a request to unmute to Austin. Austin, if you can hear me, maybe try restarting. Could also be an issue with the headphones as well, Austin, if you're trying to play with those. Yeah, if you can unplug the headphones, that might help.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Now, perhaps can we slide the participant bar or exit out, and that way we can get a full.
That-
Perfect. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Austin.
No problem. So thank you, Mayor and Council. So I prepared these operations plans for both the campground and marina, and we're going to start with the marina. The operation plan was designed to propose a 1, 3, and 5-year development plan that includes projected budgets, a staffing plan, and marketing strategy. Moving forward, the marina is obviously located in Iroquois, and it plays a big role in our tourism for South Dundas, as it draws people from all over Eastern Ontario. I strongly feel that the marina is important to drawing people to Iroquois and South Dundas, as well as promoting recreation within our community. Moving forward to the development plan. So for year one in 2021, it is suggested that we upgrade the existing gravel road that enters the marina and runs down to the east end of the marina and where the boats are docked, as well as install Adirondack chairs along the south wall for ship watching, which would be part of the tourism committee and would be worked on with the tourism committee. We would also repair the existing boat launch and install additional security enhancements such as ladders, cameras, a couple more fences, and etc. And as well, we would also upgrade the septic system. Moving forward to year 3 in 2023, we would complete electrical upgrades at some of the pedestals from 15 to 30 amp. This will support more boats and allow us to attract more boaters to the marina. We also pour a concrete base in the existing pavilion, as well as repair and replace a few of the picnic tables and umbrellas that are currently at the marina. In year 5, 2026, we will upgrade the existing electrical and offer an expansion to the west end of the marina along the west wall, as well as the finger docks, which will allow for more boats and more seasonal boaters, as well as fishermen to dock their boats there. In addition to that, we will also renovate the marina office and bathrooms just to upgrade our existing services. As we move forward into the budget, it is important to note that this budget is proposed and projected as it is not drawing any money from the tax base, and all funds raised will be through user fees, gas sales, and additional services. As we look at the fees listed above, the proposed fee increase is based on my experience of this past summer, as well as comparing the Gallup Canal Marina to similar sized and operated marinas within the area. The staff feel that these fees are appropriate for the current and future services that we provide at the marina. If you can note, there is an increase for year 1, but then after that, it will be the yearly 2% increase from 2021 onward. For organizational tools, it is proposed that an online booking system be used. This will help with online payment and check-in abilities, as well as the staff organization, information management, and record keeping. Staff feel that this is very important for improving operational efficiency at the marina. The proposed staffing plan sees the removal of the seasonal supervisor at the marina, as well as the application for the full student grant for the summer wage. By removing the seasonal supervisor, this will save the municipality and the marina budget approximately $17,000 per season. We will also utilize 3 students at the campground and marina as similar to what we did this past summer, and they will rotate between both facilities. Moving forward to marketing and advertising. Upon my experience this past summer, I think it's important that we target seasonal boaters and seasonal fishermen. We had a lot of seasonal boaters this past year and seasonal fishermen. So it's important that we use those as our target market moving forward. And the seasonal customers will offer a more consistent source of revenue through the season. And through marketing and advertising the marina, this will assist in attracting tourists to the community and also promoting recreational activities within South Dundas. In summary, the proposed plan is to provide guidance to the municipality over the next 5 years with regards to the marina operations and capital projects. Staff strongly feel that the proposed operational plan will exceptionally help the marina and its operations moving forward. And that's it.
Okay,
If anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them at this time.
okay, so since you've deked me out a little bit, thought we would be talking about the campground first. I'm gonna go this way first and start with Councillor Wells on the marina.
Yeah, I had the campground. It was kind of, everything was gonna kind of work.
It's okay, we can manage, we're good.
I apologize.
It's okay, we'll just flip to other pages. Thank you.
Like I'm looking at the one thing about removing, you said about removing a supervisor, meaning removing yourself as a working supervisor type thing, because like I don't know where we're saving the money. I'm not following that part.
So up to this year, the marina and campground have both had a seasonal supervisor that were hired in May, and they would be employed from May to October as a working supervisor down at each facility. So the proposed plan shows the removal of that position and the addition of one student, similar to what we had this past summer, except there would just be the 3 students, and then the supervisor of Parks and Recreation, myself, as well as the community program coordinator, Jamie, will be overseeing the day-to-day operations.
Because like last year, you were the working supervisor there, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Which I think went very well. Like you can go back and forth and coordinate their job duties and watch and do that without having another one there. And what I see as far as work-wise there, I don't, as far as removing the supervisor, which is good, I think a student at each one and you going back and forth is plenty to run an operation that size. Like it's not a big campground, it's not a big marina. So as far as the structure for your students and stuff, that's what I would go. And the other thing was on your numbers here, like your fuel and all that stuff like that, like these prices here like are not adding up to, like we had where's the fuel here? How come I can't find the fuel?
Are you looking at the operating plan? Is that what you're looking at, Lloyd, on page
I'm-
42?
I'm trying to find it here. I gotta move down.
Page 42 if you get to it. Or
Yeah.
There we go. Now, on our costs and fuel, we had fuel sales was 24,200 or 525, and we spent. Well, that was last year. 23,466, and we spent 20,043. Shannon, is that our cost for the fuel? I'm taking it.
Yes.
There, like we made money there, but like something like that, we could increase that because like we should be working on like at least a 40 to 50% markup on fuel, especially at a marina, because you take your costs to the hydro for the pumps and the labor and everything. Like we're not making enough money on the fuel part. In your costs, I don't understand the costs. Like we have for 2022, the fuel is going to be I think like 22,535. Then the following year, it's down 20,980. And I don't know where those numbers are coming into play. Like how you're coming up with all these numbers like that. So else was there?
We use the budget formula that has been used for other budgets and to calculate projected sales and revenue.
Okay. I just don't.
If I could also add, if I could jump in here, so we also factored in the carbon tax. So the carbon tax fluctuates from the federal government on gas. So that's why the numbers you'll see are different. So we tried to account for that as best as we could as well when we did these calculations.
Okay. And that pavilion, there's no concrete pad underneath that right now?
No, it's gravel.
Okay, I thought that was in the drawings that time, which is, it's not a big deal to pour that little pad, but other than that, as far as the restructuring of the students and that, I don't really have a lot more to say about that, Mayor. Everything else looks pretty good.
Council Mellon?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Byvells. I guess a couple of things. I sort of agree with Councillor Wells. I think we should check out with neighboring marinas, because if you're a seasonal, your boats in there all the time, they can run down. If we put our fuel too high, they'll run down to Chrysler Marina or up to Johnstown. So check what their fuel markup is. And I know it's higher than if you go at the pumps. If you put it up too high, people will drag their own fuel in, and then you have an issue with possible spillage. Jerry can it in, but I do agree that we have to make a good margin on that. You mentioned in here, and I haven't got it in front of me right now, there was possible monies to be saved with sewage pump out.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know what you meant by that. Like, you're going to have somebody come in and pump out the holding tank? How do you figure on saving unless you... I'm just not exactly sure where you're getting savings on fuel sewage pump out.
So this past summer, we ended up having to do a lot of emergency calls, like on Sundays and stuff. So obviously we get charged a little bit more when we have to make an emergency call to have someone come in and pump out the tank. So the plan is to develop a schedule, so every so often the tank will be pumped, which will, in hindsight, should save money. Excuse me, should save money in the long run as far as not having to place emergency pump out calls.
I agree. Is there an alarm system on that tank?
Yes, there is. So part of the upgrades for the septic system was to replace that alarm system because the float in the tank this past summer wasn't working very well. So the light wasn't coming on before, and then it would come on, it seemed like every time on a Sunday. So
Of course. Okay. You had made in here quite an increase in the grants that you're going to be going after.
Yes.
What would be different in 2021 compared to other years? What grant money are you going to be going after that we didn't do before?
So looking at the budget, we've been applying for half of the grant available for the students. So the plan is to apply for the full amount moving forward.
Okay. Second question in relation to that, why were we only applying for half? Yeah.
If I can add, and maybe Austin doesn't have the full context, is under the grant that we were applying for, they only covered half of the salary for the year. So what we would look at doing is there's other grants out there for summer students. I expect with the implications of COVID this year that the government might be looking at more grants next year. So the plan is to apply to for all of our summer students is to apply to all the grants and hopefully have a better idea of getting more funding from the government.
Okay. More go after as much grant money as you can. Down a little bit farther in what I guess where is this rates and comparables? What page is it on? 46, I guess, and going farther, launch fees going into 2021 or 2022. All of a sudden, we're going to be charging launch fees again. We had discontinued that. I'm not, that's a debatable item. There was quite a contentious item, whether we charge launch fees or we don't. The only thing you know, and as far as what we charge, and I do agree with what Mayor Bybel said, you know, the marina's got to cut its own course and be able to pay for itself. The launch fees, you know, on a monthly rate at $120 proposed, and especially on the seasonal, which they're going to put their boat in once, you got them at $500, which is, I'm sorry, ridiculous. They're not going to pay $500. They're just going to go down to Chrysler Marina, and I don't know, they'll put them in somewhere else. They'll up to Cardinal and put them in for free. I mean, $500 for somebody who's going to put their boat in once and take it out at the end of the year, that dog don't hunt. That's, you know, we go from nothing to, in 2022, we're going to be charging $500, you know, what your operating plan, you know, what you're proposing. That would be, you know, the one thing that doesn't, you know, I really, that jumped out at me. And whether we want to charge launch fees or not, I mean, some of them, you know, that's been batted around and whatnot, to the point that we took them off, what, 2-3 years ago.
If I could just
I haven't
jump-
got a problem with charging launch fees as long as they're, you know, reasonable. Otherwise, people aren't going to, you know, they're, you know, get a monthly pass, or we did have a yearly pass, I think was around $35, and that was unlimited. $55, that was unlimited for people that were just going in and out whenever. I think we should maybe go back to something like that instead of on a weekly rate, or, you know, $30 for a weekly, or what is it, $120 monthly. I think we need to jig that a little bit, especially with the $500 for the seasonal. If you want to build, I don't know, something into what you're going to charge people for, you know, on the wall or floating dock or whatever, for, you know, if they're going to have their boat there for the year, build something into that price. You get to put your boat in if you're going to have a seasonal pass. You know,
So
but
if
I
I
mean,
could just cut in for a second here, Councillor Mellon. So the idea of the launching fee is that the people paying for the marina rates already, they wouldn't be paying the launching fee on top of their seasonal rate. So this would be for individuals utilizing the boat launch that aren't necessarily customers of the marina.
so that launch fee for a seasonal is, you're not
Would be
built into the price what they're going to be paying for seasonal. Is that what you're saying, Danielle?
That's right. So the marina seasonal rate, for example, for the canal wall power would include that launching fee. So we would not charge the marina customer the launching fee plus the seasonal rate.
Yeah.
So it's already incorporated. So this would be for an individual, for example, who wanted unlimited monthly access to the boat launch. They would pay for example, in 2022, the seasonal rate is $500. So they would pay $500 for the season, and they could utilize the boat launch as frequently as they would like. So for example, if you were a fisherman, but you didn't want to store your boat in the water, you would pay the $500 for the season and go in and out of the water as frequently as you'd like.
So, Council Mellon, I'm going to cut in now because Danielle, there's a bit of history here that you and Austin weren't part of. We've had launch fees in the past, and they've been a bone of contention in South Dundas, whether you're in Morrisburg or using the one in Iroquois. This council last year or year before discontinued the launch fees totally. So you're resurrecting something that we felt was not something we want to do, especially to those who just go in and out. The only time we would charge is if an organization like the fishing tournament comes in, they would still be charged because of their high usage. But normal non-resident or residential use of our boat launches has been free for the last 2 years because of our decision then. And you can recommend going back, but that's where Councillor Mellon's coming from right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is just a recommendation. I think from staff's perspective, our concern is the boat launch needs significant repairs. And in order to fund those repairs without the tax base paying for them, this would be the best way to generate that revenue to offset those costs. If not, then the money would probably have to come from the tax base to do those repairs. So that's why staff are suggesting it.
And fair enough. I know that we did spend some money, well, the previous council spent money in the boat launch in Morrisburg for our time, and I know the one Airquad does need work, so we'll have, I guess there's gonna be debate of council whether we charge fees or we continue on and use the tax base to pay that, fix that up and see where the money comes from after that. So, does that make sense, Councilor Mellon?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is, especially if you throw $500 at somebody, oh yeah, you got unlimited usage. Well, we patrol, if you will. We have staff out of Iroquois, and it's on a goodwill, well, not a goodwill gesture, but on your honor system in Morrisburg, and that was, I think most people used it or were good with it, but I don't think we can, I think we need to look at that if we're going to go to a user fee for the launch fees. We got to look at that a little bit differently, especially that's not going to And you also mentioned in here you're going to remove the flower beds around the pavilion. Is there an issue with the flower beds around the pavilion? And I'm assuming the boaters up there probably look after those flower beds. I don't know.
So this past year, they were not looking after the flower beds. Just with the current landscaping that's there, the flowers that are installed as well as the small retaining wall around it's kind of fallen down. It's misplaced, and staff feel that it would look a lot better if it was cleaned up and we removed the flower bed.
Yeah, I can see that if they're not being used. I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I was only up at the marina maybe once or twice last summer, and I didn't look at the flowers. I should stop and smell the flowers once in a while, but I don't. But yeah, if I was thinking this was something that the boaters, seasonal people up there were sort of looked after. But I mean, if they're not being looked after, we don't need them growing up in weeds. That looks like crap. But yeah, maybe something we could approach, but I think I know what the flavor is up there right now at the marina. So, if somebody wanted to, tend flowers, if they're up there, 5 days a week or something. But anyways, okay. Yeah, I just think we need to look at, and as far as, I guess we can get into this, I had it marked down on the campground as far as bookings and whatnot. I can see the campground needing, how they want to book their campsite, but at the marina, I'm thinking it's a one-time booking, especially for the seasonal users. So our proposed to go with some kind of booking system. Do they call, basically right now when they want to renew their slip from last year, they've already probably renewed it, have they? Or, or when does that renewal take place? If they want to
That renewal takes place in the spring, so everyone will receive a phone call and email in regards to when the marina is opening again, and the seasonal boaters from last year will be asked again if they are renewing their slip. We also have a waiting list for slips with 30 amp service. So moving down the list, if there's space available, they will be contacted as well and let know regardless whether there's a space or not for them.
Yeah, okay, because I don't know if we really need a really, if you will, a fancy booking system for the slips at the marina. But I mean, that's here and there. I mean, you can use both of them, but I think most likely they're going to be calling into the marina. Will they not be? Or the marina will be touching out base with them, so.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I think that needs to be continued on because, or give notice or whatever, how you want to, proceed with that. When you mentioned the waiting list for the 30 amp sites, I'm not sure where it is in here, and I'm not going to try and backtrack. When were you planning on upgrading some of them pedestals from 15 to 30 or adding 30 in? Because I think there's a chance there for, increased revenue. Obviously, there's an input cost or, the capital outlay that's there. But if we have a waiting list or people wanting a 30 amp site and we haven't got it, or a 30 amp pedestal, I think we need to, I think I would much sooner move quicker than later on that one, because, we charge accordingly, and, obviously it has to pay back. But if people are looking for a 30 amp pedestal, then we might as well try and get it quicker than later.
Yep, absolutely. So the slips from this past year in 2020, they were all booked. So that waiting list, although they're waiting for 30 amp slips, but every other slip has been sold or spoken for 2021.
Yeah. I mean, I think the bigger boats probably have air conditioners that need a 30 amp, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all for now, Mayor Byvelds.
Councilor Lewis?
Austin, going back to the sale of gas, have we priced the gas just west of us at the marina?
In Johnstown?
No, the one right next to us that's run by Mr. House.
Yes, we looked at it. We looked at it midway through the summer, and it was similar to what we were charging. We did, so going back to what Councilor Wells was talking about, we did have a markup this past summer of 30% or 30 cents. So we did look at other marinas' gas prices and use their prices in comparison to set our projected fuel sales and prices moving forward as well.
Okay, well, I think that is something that we should be looking at, because that is our bread and butter there. Students, when you talk students, now are we going to have a student at the marina and a student at the campsite at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, because I got a lot of complaints from the campsite whenever they were looking for somebody, there was nobody there. They were most likely at the marina at that given time. The only last thing that I want to touch on is the boat fees. We tried that way back when. Not successful. A lot of guys that go out in their fishing boat, they weren't happy with paying $55 a year. And really, when you dock your boat here in Morrisburg, all it's there is a dock. So I know if that comes to council, that I'll lay it right on the line to you. I'll be dead set against it. So and that's where I'm going to leave that. And I think my colleagues across the way have touched on just about everything else that I was thinking of, so I'll pass it over. Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor Gardner?
Thanks, Mayor Byvelds. Thanks for your report, Austin. I like the fact that you're working to kind of trim the budget a bit. I like the hiring of the students. I think an additional student, having the 3, I think that will work well in that area. My fellow councillors have already spoke to the gas and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to take a different route and just a little bit about the marketing for the marina. I'm just wondering if there's been any work done on, I mean, I know you're new, but something to consider. The transient boaters that come in, maybe have the students for 2021 do up a bit of a questionnaire to kind of see, how they found us, what the people are looking for, that type of thing. I think there's an opportunity. I absolutely agree with Mayor Byvelds that both the marina and the campground should be sustainable on usage by their customers. And I think there's a really good opportunity. I'd love to see you work with the Economic Development Department to really push seasonal stays in South Dundas. I think that's where your bread and butter is, and spending your summer in South Dundas. I think even if you came up with lots of campers have boats, maybe there's like a double kind of a all-inclusive kind of thought process where you can knock off a 2-for-1 kind of deal. And I'm also thinking about your timelines. What are your timelines as far as promotion of this? if you're going to get serious about attracting more seasonals?
As far as when we're going to start promoting it,
Yep.
I would like to start right away.
Perfect. So you're looking at probably at the very least a strong February-March campaign?
Yes, we've already met with Katie, who's designing a website, and so the marina and campground are both part of that. So we're working together to begin promoting it through the website and social media and et cetera.
Okay. And did I see that you're thinking a budget of about $1,500 to do the platform for registering online?
About that, yes.
Okay. So that can be problematic. Even the campgrounds that spend and marinas that spend a lot more than that, 10 or 100 times more, they can have their systems crash, and it's not always crashing because of user traffic, it's just crashing because those systems are quite fragile. Something to consider, what a lot of folks have done that have registration platforms, is they have it's called a convenience fee. So if I'm going to book a campsite or a boat slip or whatever, there is a charge to actually go online that helps maintain the fee, because I think you might find that it's optimistic to do the 1,500, but you may find that will become problematic because it just takes once for somebody to go on and it crashes and they say forget it, and you have a really hard time getting them back. So just a consideration on that. That would be my big encouragement as well with the branding, is to work with economic development, because economic development does place some advertising for South Dundas in some of the tourism magazines, and I'd like to see everyone work together on that and maybe do a unified approach.
Absolutely. We've looked at putting the marina and campground in boating magazines and camping, RVing magazines as well.
You may find, especially with the seasonal thing, if you play it right, there's a lot of folks in the area that do like to have that camper cottage within an hour's drive. So you may look at, like I said, just talk to economic development. They might give you some tips. Maybe you should focus solely on the Ottawa market to start, that type of thing, and because that can add up really quick. You'll find your ad campaign will get eaten up very quick. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I've written a few points down here. Some might be emphasizing what some council members have already spoke about. And they're in a bit of random order, so I'll bear with me on that. You had mentioned about Septaj. The current contractor is based out of where?
So we didn't have a contractor for 2020. We always use David Brown, but we would, like I said, a lot of the calls were emergency calls on Sundays. So part of that septic pump schedule would include having one contractor on the same schedule throughout the whole boating season.
Okay, and I think that makes reasonable sense. And if you come into a figuration of how often you need to pump the tank out, then if it's once a week or twice, once every 2 weeks or whatever, which is normal, or if you start seeing something, a lot of people using it, then of course it's going to start filling up quickly, and you want to avoid the weekend charges. I 100% agree with that. Perhaps, and there's nothing against David Brown and the service they provide. I do know, and I don't want to go down the road of local per se, but I want to make sure that everybody's competitive, and if a local is competitive and wants to do it, then I think we should at least look at it. There are two in South Dundas, but if they're not competitive, then I'm certainly, it's something that you, along with your Danielle director, come up with a plan, not only there, but any other pumping we have to do, and see if we can either RFP it or RFQ it, and then come up with or make it one of our reoccurring fees, because that's something that might be in addition to what we could use not only there but elsewhere. On the fuel, something that came to my mind, and this might be over your head a bit, but when we get fuel in to the marina, how is it priced to us? Where I'm coming from is that technically there's, and it should probably be in it, there's a Ontario fuel tax portion of it. Technically it's only for vehicles on the road, and I don't know if it applies for boating vehicles. I know if it came to a farm, it would. You know at all? No, quit scratching your head. Then you're throwing me off. I seen that. I know that if certain uses don't have to pay that tax, but there may not be a way of us recapturing it. So it's just a thought. I do like the idea that. And I understand that this year was the first year that all fuel was accounted for in and out every day. That really demonstrates, and no disrespect to anybody who did the work before, but this is the first year we've ever made money on fuel as long as I've seen this marina budget, and I imagine the 4 years I did, and we still didn't probably make money on it. So that tells me that our leakage was way too high, and usually there's a reason for it. I'm not going to accuse anybody of it, but if it's well managed, then the output will show that. And I agree with Councillor Wells that it's a profit center that we have to take advantage of. However, as Councillor Mellon and Councillor Lewis alluded to, we have to be competitive with those on each side of us. So it's going to take a little legwork to make sure we are, but usually, once they set their profit standards, we can probably go along and drive on the rest of the year with it. When it comes to cost allocation for wages, I do like the idea of utilizing students. However, you're going to need some very strong students to run both the campground and the marina. I recognize that you were one of them and you did an excellent job. However, having done that job, you know that you will land up with customers that are a little more challenging to deal with, and not everybody, especially young people, can deal with that right away. So it's good life lessons for them, but some of those life lessons don't need to be that hard on them. I don't see a cost allocation for you, part of your wages or the coordinator's wages or the director's wages, or if I really get fussy, the treasurer's wages. If the students are only working a set time and there's a call at 8 o'clock at night, that's your call. That has to be allocated to the right area, because that's just the fair way of doing it. And I know you're on a salary base, but there still should be allocations for your salary into marina and the campground. It just makes sense, because if they weren't there, you would be doing either A, something else, or B, pay get less. The capital funding has, in recent memory, if we don't go, well, some of it has been taxpayer dollars or property tax base. But in the past, what we did was that the marina as an entity would borrow the money from South Dundas and then have to reallocate it back over time. There's still some loans I do see against the marina which are being paid back, so that means that it needs to make those dollars back one way or the other. So in other words, marina can't cost us South Dundas money, but it should try to make a little bit of money. I've been told that marinas don't make money. However, from my point of view, having a marina that costs the taxpayers of any municipality money is not fair to the municipality unless you can justify it through tourism or another economic development thinking. I haven't seen those dollars and how they translate back. The launch fees, as we alluded to, I think are going to be a challenge. I think that's something that we as municipality will probably have to put against the property tax base because of being here with one in Morrisburg that's been, we have made free of charge, and the Iroquois one has been made free of charge. We understand that the Iroquois one needs work, and Perhaps the marina, if it makes a few dollars, can pay for that long term, but if not, then that is one area that if we fix it up and do it right, it's a long-term project and wouldn't have to come back and bite us for after a while. The Pavilion is a little bit of a contentious issue. It was originally a building that wasn't supposed to be there, and it turned into a pavilion that still costs taxpayers South Dundas $10,000. Understand you want to make it more useful and put concrete, and fair enough if you can figure out how the marina can pay for that. Little caution on putting curtains up to keep the weather out. You may want to talk to your chief building official on that, because that's why there's no walls there. Let's see what other notes I have here. Okay, so in the fees, the monthly. Oh.
Yep.
Okay, I just have to go to the right page, sorry. They jump from 2022 to 2023 like pretty well double. Is that on purpose, or is that a misprint, or what's the thinking there? Canal wall power.
So that jump would support the development and the upgrades to the services.
Okay, and you think that's commercially acceptable? Like, we'll still be in the right ballpark?
Yep. From looking at other marinas and what they charge for their rates as far as and the services they offer, then staff feel that that is right in the ballpark for what the Gallup Canal Marina will have to offer.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with you, because I think monthly fee is fairly reasonable. The seasonal rates. You can almost compare them to a campsite, because once you sit in there, you know, there are probably some that put their boat there and hook on the power, and that's where they sit. That's their cottage. Without doing the math hard, are they still fair and reasonable compared to others?
Yep, absolutely. So when we looked at the seasonal rates, we kept the 2% increase per year because we felt as the seasonal boaters are our target market, we want to draw more seasonal boaters obviously to the marina, as they, like I said, they offer a more consistent source of revenue throughout the season. So if we focus more on making the seasonal rates more affordable and comparable to other marinas, then we have a better opportunity to attract seasonal boaters.
Okay. That's all I have on my list. We'll go around the table again, and more ideas have generated. So go ahead, Councillor Wells.
Okay, we're going to start, Austin, with the sewer part. Have you ever checked into maybe having get a quote on, I'm going to call it a honey wagon? It's a portable pump that you can go and you can pump out boats with. You can pump campers out. You can pump that holding tank out and take it over to our new sewer that we just put in, dumping station, where we would charge like a $10 fee for, and I'm just going on rates because of my brother's campground with his honey wagons, like a $10 fee for a weekly pump. If you want it, you would come and put a token in and you would do that. And your boats, and the boats could be a little more, and also use it to pump out our holding tank once a week, because you can get them up like 200 gallon, 500 gallon tanks. That shorter distance, being on a half ton, would take literally round trip half an hour to 45 minutes. And the honey wagon was something that would pay for itself in the very first year. And then you would start making money with that. That's something I would like to have council, if you had something to come back and show us, it'd be a very good thing. Another thing, I had it in the campground thing, but on our slips, our hydro's included in our seasonal rate, correct?
Yep.
So there's another thing you guys could look into, is doing a meter system. And a meter system for each outlet, and I'm going through just by what I've been told, is roughly about a $200 fee by the time you buy the meter and have an electrician hook it up. So that would you still keep the same amount, your seasonal rate will stay the same, but now they're paying for hydro. So you get a boater out there or a camper that leaves for a week and they leave their air conditioning on all week. Well, it's creating a lot of cost for the municipality to include it. And a way to get around that, as far as the electrical, like the meter part, where it wouldn't cost the municipality anything, is if it's a $200 fee to have electrician and the cost of the meter to be installed, you at the very beginning of a seasonal camper would pay a $200 electrical deposit at the beginning of the year, which would pay for the initial investment, and same with the boats. So at the end of the year, they could do, if they leave, they get as long as your bill is paid in full, they could use that $200 towards their electrical charge, or they could just pay their electrical charge on the monthly, and we give them their $200 deposit back. And the new one moving into that position, slip or campsite, always has to pay a $200 deposit. So you're always having that money there. So the initial costs, like startup fee, is nothing on our part. It all becomes to the customer. So, and that's a very good system work like that. That would save us thousands of dollars. And it's something I think that should be incorporated into our upgrades. So the sewer, the hydro is two good things I think that would really work well. What else do I have? Oh, going back to, and people wouldn't think, but I have a little green thumb. I would like to see flower beds remain and maybe add a few. It doesn't take a lot. It takes very little time for a student to go out to weed a flower bed a couple times a week, and I think it adds color to it. So I think actually they should stay, and maybe spots. I know spots up there that you could add little flower beds or something. There's a memorial up there for Sally and stuff, and maybe make a bigger one up there. And what else? Yeah, and going to like the mayor said, for our launch fees, we took that out in 18, and I definitely for our term, anyways, I wouldn't put it back in. That would be my thought on that. So, and taxation a little bit should be used, because in your thing we're advertising for the public, so the public can go down and go in there in certain spots and use the marina. They can go down and use the tennis court and all that. So if there's some upgrades, the mayor said about, we'll have to maybe use a little bit of taxation on a few small capital projects. So, and I don't think it would be the end of the world. I guess that's all I have on the second round, Mayor.
Councilor Mellon?
I like Councilor Wells' the Honey Wagon. Any campground I go to, there's at least a $10 pump charge. And boy, I think the campers at the campground would sure like that, instead of taking their little portable tow behind, and or they're not going to unhook. So that could be utilized in both, and I think I think we should price that out. And a small Honey Wagon, I think would really probably pay for itself. The hydro idea, is good. Deputy Mayor Gardner had a good point, and we can bring this up, and I think it applies more to the campground. Probably as a registration fee. There's any campground, not every campground I go to, but there is a registration fee, a one-time registration fee. If you're booking 2 nights, 3 nights, or a week, whatever, it's $15, I think, at the one campground. That's a municipal campground that I go to in Lower Beverly. That's in line, easily within line. Where is the sewer main goes up there? Do we have a sewer?
There's nothing in Marina.
There's nothing at the marina.
No,
Okay,
nothing at the marina.
I was just trying, like, the bathrooms then are on the holding tank too. The washrooms are on the holding tank.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. How close is that sewer main?
Too far.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't know where the sewer main ended, started, quit, whatever. Okay,
It's
drive on with
ba-
the honey wagon.
Sewer main's at the campground. That's your dead end.
Yeah, I didn't know if it had come
And-
up across that field, but it's not gonna cost, it's not doable to bring it.
We
down
haven't hooked
extra.
up the Carmen House, and now you're talking about hitting the marina, so just think of that one for a second.
Yeah. No, I didn't know where the sewer main went. Maybe the tax on the fuel. We have to pay, do we get the HST or the GST back on that?
We get 100% back. This is recreation.
We get 100% back. Okay, so the taxes we get back on that,
Yeah.
that's rolled back into the marina budget?
Taxes we get back as a net of what our cost is, but then when we charge people for the fuel, we've got to pay HST to the government.
Run that by me again.
When we pay for the fuel,
Yeah,
we get 100% of the HST back. But when we actually sell the fuel, we've got to give HST to the government.
We have to do the in and out,
Yeah,
basically.
in and in.
okay,
They make money on the differential,
Yeah.
right? Remember that.
okay. There was one other thing, and we redid the dock in Morseburg, the ramp. Came out of taxation, did it not? When we did that dock, and the capital expenditures, I think the marina's got to be able, and the campground, as far as that goes, got to be able to run itself. When we did that dock in Morseburg, we spent damn near $250,000 on that.
It was 175,000, and I believe it came from the working reserve
Yeah.
back in 2014.
So I have no problem actually, using taxation, if you will, to repair the boat ramp. But the rest of the update, the maintenance, everything else, just to be on a level playing field with, if you will, our other ramp, our other docking we have in South Dundas, in Morseburg. I have no problem, taking that capital year one, the boat launch repair replacement. I think we need to look at that as coming under general taxation, if you will, the repair of that to be on par with what we spent at Morseburg 4 years ago, Donnie? 5, 4? Yeah, so anyways, that's all for right now.
Council Lewis?
Well, the only thing I have to say is I do agree with my colleagues across the way. I love the idea about that honey wagon. I think we can make a small fortune off of that. And I don't know too many campsites that you go to that they don't have an electric meter and you pay for what you use. And as far as capital projects, I do believe I agree with Councillor Mallon. If it's a capital project, I think it should be taken out of taxation, because we all know that the campsite and the marina, they're not a big money organization. And we all know what that ramp in Iroquois looks like. I think we've almost all of us have went and looked at it. But other than that, I'm happy with everything that's happening.
Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Just a couple of add-on points. Thanks, Mayor. The garden thing, it's all about the plants. I'd throw some hostas in there. You don't have to do much. The launch fees, we had that discussion, and I was very comfortable with our decision to not charge. To Councillor Mellon and Councillor Lewis, I think it's apples and oranges with the launches, though. I mean, if the culture at the Iroquois Marina has changed enough that it's welcoming, that if you're an outsider that's going to go hang on the Adirondack chairs and use the boat ramp and everything, that's one thing. Morseburg is very open. It's definitely feels more like a public space than the marina sometimes feels, and that's the only issue that I have, where if it's going to be consideration for taxation, then that marina has to be very welcoming to anybody who is not a full-time boater there. And that's my only, they're two very different entities in that. And that would be my comment on the launch fees. And that's it. Some good points.
Okay. I think from what I'm hearing from council, and I agree that the launch fees are a no-go for now. If you want to take it to the next council, that'll be up to you. As for capital on fixing the ramp, I think that's something you can probably come back to council and figure out what we're going to do with it. I think that's something that taxation is going to have to pay for. I do agree with Councillor Wells' attitude of trying to find some either working on the electrical system for meters or come up with a system that's more fair, because if someone there's always, if you charge one fee, I'm going to use as much as I can, and if I have a meter, I'm going to be a little smarter about it. And you can look into the prospect of drawing septage in out of there along with the campground. I'm still in the camp that until the marina proves to me that it's a tourist attraction to South Dundas, that it has to be a user pay system. The challenge with it is that there's the old attitude hasn't left yet 100%. And if it's if it becomes what we want it to become, which is a welcoming tourist and boating destination in South Dundas, then I think that's something that any council would favor on trying to keep up and doing the right thing. But I'm not there yet. I've been in this position too long, and right from the start, it's always been we want everything perfect, and oh, by the way, the taxpayers of South Dundas are paying for it, and I don't think that's fair, especially when we have a marina across the road that is privately owned and technically competes with us. They are different, I won't disagree, but we have one in Johnstown too that's, I'm not sure if the municipality owns it and someone rents it or what's going on. Chrysler, we don't even count. Chrysler just doesn't own Little Bear, and they don't care if they make money or not, because it's just one of those things. Beautification plan is good. I think, it can be a gem. There's lots of things we can do there to make the place look very, very attractive. Anything safety, that's a no-brainer. It's got to be done. But it can be something that could draw people to South Dundas, even from a historic point of view. That's something that didn't get buried at the Seaway totally. There's some buried there with water, but that we don't have old structures like that everywhere in Canada or anywhere. So something to preserve, something to enhance and see where we go. I think you've presented to us a fairly good plan. I think council's given you some ideas on how to tweak the plan. And if you can come back to us with some of the tweaks, and then at budget time we'll work on the 2021 budget, and then looking forward at the same time is always a good thing. I like that kind of budgeting thinking, that if you spend it today, or you can gain it back over a number of years. I don't have a problem with that. That's business thinking. So, and that's my comments on the marina. Is anything else from any council on the marina, specifically Councillor Mellon?
Oh, well, yeah, I was just sitting here and I had a chance of thinking. That's good, bad. The honey wagon I like. Maybe Marcel or Austin, you and Danielle can look into regulations of hauling sewage on the road. Somebody's probably going to come along and say it's a hazardous waste. Hire a farmer to do it. We can yank her up and down the road, but
Different rules for different markets, folks.
yeah, I know. It's just, I think it's an ideal, and surely we can do it. Just that's something we're going to have to get clearance,
So-
'cause, yeah.
I can clarify that for you, Councillor Mellon. That's something we can put in the plan when it comes back to council is an option for the honey wagon that you're discussing. It's basically a hydrovac unit, so we do have an existing hydrovac unit in the water department, so I can touch base with Dennis and we can
Right,
look
well, I
into
figured we'd have
the
to-
permitting process.
Thank you, Danielle. I figured we'd have to get some $10 million permit or something.
I'll follow up with Dennis and see what the regulations are.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, so we'll move on to the campground. I think there's some things we've already touched on where we would like to go, but go on, just give us your background and where you'd like to go with the Iroquois campground, please.
Just trying to get the slideshow up here for you guys. You guys see that?
Yep.
Perfect. So thank you again, Mayor and Council. So the operation plan for the campground is similar to the marina. It was designed to propose a 1, 3, and 5-year development plan that includes projected budget, fees, and a marketing strategy. I guess I deleted a slide. So based on my experience at the campground this past summer, I believe the campground can also play a big role in the tourism in South Dundas, and it draws people from all over Ontario. We had people stopping by from all parts of Ontario and even all the way out to Alberta as they were just passing through. So I think it could play a very big role in the tourism and promoting South Dundas as well as the recreation within our community. I'm just going to go ahead to the development plan. So the development plan in year 1, as everyone would like, we're going to open the campground building, the new building. I know all the campers are very excited to get in there and get to experience it. We're also going to improve the organization and minor presentation of the campground with some addition of signage and an information board and programming for campers. And we are also proposing that we replace the forward house shed that is currently located by the forward house where the lawn tractor is stored, and lawn bowling also has their tractor in there as well. The shed will be used for lawnmower, maintenance equipment, picnic tables, and firewood. Moving forward to year 3 in 2023, we're looking at suggesting to expand the campsite to include 3 to 5 premium sites. The expansion will take place in the southeast corner. I know this past summer we just moved the bike path, so it would take place in the area that was expanded from moving the bike path. And also a sewer service would be installed at the northeast end that would run along the lawn bowling and tennis courts. The sewer lateral replacement that just took place and was just finished was installed and accounted for additional volume and has a pre-constructed T into the main, so that would support the sewer service along the northeast side of the campsite. And then moving forward to year 5 in 2026, we'll begin upgrading older sites from the 30 to 50 amp, depending on the suggestions and demand from the campers that are looking to upgrade. We will begin one section at a time. We've got the campground mapped out in 3 sections, so we'll begin with one section and then move on until completing the whole campground down the road. The budget is important to note that the budget is proposed as same as the marina, and will not be drawing any money from the tax base, as all funds will be raised through site rentals and additional services provided. The fees, there's also an increase, and based on a comparison from other campgrounds in the surrounding area and that are similar in size and operation, the listed fees increase are suggested, and staff feel they're appropriate for the current and future services the campground are going to provide. And if you guys see at the bottom, the 2% increase will be from 2021 onward. Organizational tools, just like the marina, propose an online booking platform that will help with online payment and check-in abilities. And this will play a bigger role for the campground as far as improving the operational efficiency moving forward. Proposed staffing plan, again, similar to the marina, it would see the removal of the seasonal supervisor position, and it would have utilize 3 students that would rotate between the campground and marina. We would also apply for the student grants through the campground as well. And same as the marina, again, the removal of the supervisor position would save an approximate $17,000 per season. Marketing and advertising, we want to market and advertise the campground to seasonal campers and group camping. Most of, I would say about 95% of our campers in 2020 were seasonal campers, a lot from the Ottawa area. And we had quite a few groups that came and camped, and group camping offers a great way for free advertising for the campground, as they like to share and post all their pictures and everything of their time in Iroquois and in South Dundas. We would also utilize the media platforms currently operated by the municipality, such as the website and social medias and local tourism brochures and magazines. Part of the marketing strategy is to market not only the campground, but the whole recreational area in Iroquois, as there's the campground, the marina, the locks, the point, the west side boat launch, there's the beaches, golf course, tennis courts, lawn bowling, etc. So our plan is to market all of that as one, which will help promote not only the campground, the marina, but also promote South Dundas and the recreation we have in the area. And in summary, the plan provide is to offer guidance to the municipality over the next 5 years with regards to campground operations and capital projects. And if anyone has any questions, I would love to answer them now.
Okay, thank you for now. We know where we're starting now, the campground person, Mayor Gardner.
Okay, so thanks for the report, Austin. I like the slow and steady approach to updating the electrical units. As with the marina discussion, I think Councillor Wells' idea about looking into metered use is fair. Just wondering, in your comparables for seasonals, you don't have any comparables from any of the surrounding campsites. Was that because why?
So we looked at campgrounds that were comparable in size and operations.
Okay. So I looked at them just because I wanted to see, I think I appreciate operational size, but in some cases camping is camping, and there's spots even in the Long Sault Parkway where you literally are just pulling into a lawn, and you may have more trees, but you don't have access to the water or whatever. And I think for this discussion, I think people need to realize that some of the basic sites without electricity and water hookups are actually going for like $2,500 and above. So 2019 at SLPC, a basic seasonal site was $2,500. Grenville started at 26, and they're packed in pretty tight. So I just, for the purpose of this conversation, when we talk about not doing taxation, they're getting, the seasonal rate is a pretty good bargain. And if we're going to expand and you have updated washroom and shower facilities and laundry facilities and stuff, I think that we really need to have a look at our seasonal rates. And I know that's not going to be a popular decision, but when we're talking about the campsites running as a business, if I'm selling shoes and I'm selling them for 50% less than my competitor, that's not really a good business thing unless I'm doing volume. And in the Iroquois campground, we're actually not doing volume. So I just have a look at that. They're fairly easy to find. And I know what you're saying. I mean, when I go camping, I always want right on the water, and that's not even an option in Iroquois. But to your point about billing it as a recreational area and having the entire package and really promoting it as a seasonal location for senior residents, I think would be your ace in the hole. I think if you know, you've got the tennis court and the lawn bowling and stuff, I think that's fabulous for retirees and snowbirds. So I think you're on the right track with that. With the group camping, that can cause some issues depending on how well you monitor it. My only suggestion would be maybe have discussions with Nicole and her bylaw students, and if things are really quiet on the waterfronts next year, maybe an opportunity for some of the bylaw students to hone their skills at noise control and all that fun stuff. And the other thing that I wanted to question you on was, I didn't see a plan for tree planting and picnic table replacement.
So
in
the
there.
picnic table, sorry,
Yeah.
the picnic table replacement is part of the plan. It will be looked at this upcoming year because from my experience this past summer, if there are quite a few picnic tables that need to be replaced, we did actually have some of the campers volunteered this past summer, and they helped repair a few tables and fix them up a little bit and made them more presentable.
Okay, because if you were to expand, so say you do the increased amperage, and you do attract different folks to that campground, they will expect better picnic tables and potentially shade. And I know that just by looking at the trees, there's going to probably be a time where you're not going to have much shade at that campsite, and probably sooner rather than later to look at that, and there would be a cost associated with that. That's the problem with both the marina and the campground, or sorry, I shouldn't say problem, challenge, is the fact that when you have a group of individuals that treat it like their home base, they're willing to put up with fixing picnic tables and doing that type of thing. But when you broaden your horizons and attract transient campers or brand new customers, you're going to find that the expectation and the willingness to kind of put up with less may be a challenge. So I would just caution you on that, because picnic tables can be quite expensive. What are they, Donnie? Like $2,000 each for a heavy duty?
Depends on what brand you want to
want a
get.
heavy duty picnic table. So, or sorry, 2,000. Sorry, 2,000. But 2,000 each, and we have what, 61 sites, right? That's pretty pricey. So, just.
You're making me want to have Art Jansen come back from the dead and build picnic tables for a living, because you know, you can make a lot of money, I think.
$300.
No disrespect.
You say that though, but we built a campground building that was based on camping, the camping authority on how many washrooms and stuff, and I'm pretty sure you can't just use.
You can't use a washroom to a picnic table, but anyway.
No, but I'm talking about the fact that like there's standards with the picnic tables. The wood one, you're not going to get a wood picnic table when you're whipping around, and I would think you'd want the metal frames, right? That's what exists there. So they're about $2,000.
Anyway, I think we can turn that over to somebody that knows picnic tables inside out and backwards, and then we'll see where we go. How's that?
All right, sounds good.
Anything else?
No.
So, okay, good. Councilor Lewis, picnic table expert. You've handled more than all of us in our lifetime will ever do, so.
I have. I know that this past summer I did price a picnic table for down at the dock here in Morrisburg in memory of somebody, and a steel picnic table with a wooden top was going to cost me $1,500. So if you go with all steel, yeah, I'll agree with Deputy Mayor Gardner. It's mostly going to cost you $2,000. If you're going with just straight wood, you can buy them at Morrisburg Building Center for about $125. But when you go with a wooden picnic table, they don't last a long time. So if you're going to go with tables, I would recommend the steel with the wood tops that are like the ones in Iroquois. And that's where we'll leave that one. Other than that, Austin, I like where you're going with the campsite. I'm like Deputy Mayor Gardner. I hem and haw over this group camping. I just don't know if it's a good idea, but hey, we'll try anything once. But as we talked about at the marina, I love the idea of putting electrical meters in, because we all know that there is people that leave for a week at a time and they leave their air conditioner on, and you know, it's wasting power as far as I'm concerned. And as Councillor Wells says, that that costs the municipality and the taxpayers money. And I still like the honey wagon, and it's good to hear that we are going to open the new building in 2021. There's not much to say about the campsite. You know, it seems like you're always full of seasonal people and they enjoy it there. I wonder sometimes why, but hey, everybody has a different look on life. But I like where you're going with this, and I think I'll leave it there for now. I might have a couple questions after.
Councillor Mellon.
We've already alluded to, and I think we need to bring that in, our registration fee on our campground. I think it's going to be utilized probably more, but if we have, you've already said 95% or something like that is seasonal, so we're not going to, that's not going to be a big money maker. I think we need to promote as a transient site, and you know, I guess with when you refer to as group camping, where you know there's 4 or 5 people come in for 3, 4, 5 days, week or whatever, that's what you're referring to?
So there's actually groups. I know this past summer we had a group, I believe they were called the Upper Canada Camping Association or Camping Group, and they travel all across Ontario, and there was 15 different campers, and they all traveled together. They traveled to all the different campsites across Ontario, and I received plenty of phone calls all summer with similar groups of that size that travel, and they all stop for 3 or 4 days and they camp at all the campsites around the province.
Well, like like you say, you can have rough camping, if you will, with no water, no electricity, because more than likely some of these will probably bring their own, especially the bigger units already got their built-in generators on them, and you know, I think we need to probably try to expand that as far as we could. I checked some of the pricing, what we're looking at, sort of what I paid last year in some of the other areas. We're in that area where we could be going up a little bit higher, especially on 30 amp with water at $36.99. You know, I paid $52.75 plus tax, and a registration fee, and the other one was like $60. Well, that was water, 30 amp water, and well, that's sewer too. So we don't have any right now that are hooked into the sewer up there. We don't have any sewer, no. When you talked about expanding that sewer line, are you going to provide sewer hookups for some of them, or you're just, you know?
So the plan would be, when we expand the sewer line towards the tennis court and the lawn bowling along that northeast side, that each site would have a sewer hookup.
Okay, and we're just going to have to charge accordingly. Yep. I do now. So yeah, as far as the booking, registration and stuff like that, I know I don't do it, but I hear a lot of feedback, negative feedback from my significant other, that when she's trying to do that, sometimes it's harder online. You know, sometimes it's easier to pick the phone up and talk to. So I would caution that booking online right now, because I think most people want to pick the phone up and say, but we got to get the maps out there on our website, making sure, show what sites are available, if there's 15, 30, rough camping, whatever. So I would but you can still apply that registration fee, if you're booking online, or not booking online, but booking ahead, but by telephone. So we have to keep that in mind, and I would caution maybe going a little bit slower. Well, the one campsite, which is up in Delta, it's call-in only. I think you can go online, but I think my wife books by calling in to make sure, because there is some confusion sometimes in those systems. It's not very nice to show up to campsite and have somebody already parked there. I'm going to throw something out there. Oh, one other thing. The lending library you made reference to. Right now, we don't have any place in Iroquois for a lending library for the kayaks and canoes and stuff, right? No. So that would be available. That's probably a good idea. Up there, have something up there. That would be available to everybody, the general public, or not just campsiters, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure that would be available to anybody in Iroquois that wanted to get a kayak, canoe, or whatever. I'm going to throw something out there. I don't know, I like the tree planting idea too. Deputy Mayor Gardner, I think we got to start a program where we start planting trees. The other thing that I have seen, and it's become really popular in the last few years, is campgrounds that I think we can work into this, and I'll just throw this out here, we can work into it slow. Campgrounds offering entertainment. Matinee afternoons, you bring a band in, it doesn't have to be a high-priced band, but I mean, there's one spot in Brockville that do festivals, and what they're charging for a weekend is phenomenal, and they are just about booked up for next year. It's really, now I think we need to go slowly at this, but I know Lower Beverly does it. Not every weekend, 3-4 weekends of the year, maybe long weekends or whatever. But it seems, and that'll really, the seasonal campers are there already, they'll appreciate it. If we're gonna do that, I think we need to control it a little bit, and I know the one campsite to do, you get a bracelet to get in, just a cheap little plastic bracelet or something. So that, and that would allow walk-ins also, like not just campers. And they do that at other campsites, and it's something that really, but we need to have the space available for transients or weekend and whatnot, or rough camping, if you will. But it is something that has become very popular in more campsites all the time. And I think if we go down that road, look into it, I think we need to go into it slowly. Might look at it for, 1 or 2 weekends, and work into it and see what kind of response we get. But we got to have the space to provide, if you will, for people that would want to come for a weekend to, and you look at just the popularity of the campers and the Bluegrass Festival, and they just fill that point, and but we have to have the space, somehow to work that in, to have campers available for people to come for, a Saturday afternoon, you come Friday and Saturday and music, and anyways. It's something to consider, and I think there is potential there for maybe a moneymaker, and obviously on those weekends you charge more. I know they do in Brockville, and it's scary what they can get, but people in Brockville, I guess, have more money. I don't know how they do it. But, that's it.
Okay, good point. I think Deputy Mayor Gardner can follow up on that, because that's some ideas that the Tourism Committee was talking about down here, so. Councillor Wells.
Yes, Austin is pretty much looking at the same report when I looked at the Marina one, but anyways, it's all good. Right now, how many transient sites do we have in Iroquois that are just dedicated for that?
So none of the sites are dedicated to one specific thing. What we were doing this past summer was the seasonals, if they booked a site, obviously that would be booked for the year, and then the remaining sites would be for transients. I know it was a little more challenging this past year with COVID, and we made sure we cut the sites as far as to allow for more space in between campers to help everyone social distance. So we reduced our number of sites, which made it a little more challenging, but whatever site wasn't booked by a seasonal camper was available for a transient.
Now, do you have like a list for people, a waiting list for people for seasonal sites?
Yep, we've had 27 campers already put their deposit down for 2021.
Because this, like, I think if you want to get into this, promoting all this other stuff, that we have to dedicate certain sites for transients. Like, we can't just wait till the end, like, see what happens there. Because if there's a waiting list, like, if you want to dedicate, I think myself personally, more seasonals, the better. You look at a lot of the campsites, they're like private ones anyways, they're going more seasonal then. It's a lot less headaches, it's guaranteed income. So it's something I think we should keep a few, but I think if there's people lining up that actually want a seasonal site, we should take it and maybe keep like 5% for transient sites. The other thing was I had at the beginning was a honey wagon too for the campground and the metering. I personally, Councillor Mellon's thing about calling in and that, I don't think this campsite's big enough to put an online system and stuff like that, registered it, especially when you might have 5 to 10 transient sites. It doesn't, I don't think if someone wants to call in or they just stop in, we have a student there, I don't think it's a lot of work, so I don't think that's really, it's really needed. As far as your plan there, and council all knows there's a resident that offered, you were talking about 3 50 amp sites, there's a resident that offered to pay for 11. And it was told that he was kind of put on the back burner because of COVID and that. It's something that he might want to look into because it's all free to the taxpayers, it doesn't cost us any. If there's a resident that wants to spend that money and have the municipality oversee it, I would go for it myself. I do agree with the upgrading. Like if we got to, and I said this before, if we want to keep a campground, we have to get up with times here and offer the people what they need. And currently, we're not there yet. There's another thing on the rates. And this is just, again, me talking with my brother that has a campsite. I asked him about our rates, and this is his opinion. He says they're not too bad, but with us paying for the hydro, he says like we're way out of whack with us paying for the hydro with the rates you have proposed there. So, and I think there's room, like Councillor Mellon says, there's room for a little increase, and if we get these meters in, that we're in the same playing field, and we're not missing out or losing money. What else did I have written down? And they were saying in your report about Wi-Fi and that. It was there when the building was designed. John Ross has all the stuff for the internet. I don't know what we have to offer or if we're relying on what we had before. I know a few of the campers that were there. What we had before is nothing really. If we're advertising Wi-Fi and all that, what we have, like we would have to bring things up to par there when it comes to that, because just what I've heard from different people I know that camp there. So it's something we'll have to look into, getting a good system for the internet. And a question, and I don't know this, like the lawn bowling, is it a public place where, because it is a club, like can someone just go in there and go in open and grab the things? But that's, in this report, it looks like we're offering that. That's what I'm saying.
You can join the club.
Yeah.
be a
But it's
seasonal
not-
camper and
it's not
join
a-
the club.
it's not
No,
something we
it's
can-
like the curling club. It's running on municipal grounds.
Yes. Okay, and the tennis court, that is public.
That's
though.
open,
That's
yes.
public. So I kind of thought that, I want to just clarify that. What else is there? Just on both of your reports about your, you had your budget things come up. Now I don't know if you just threw that number there, like for your grading and all that. I guess we'll see when the time comes. But you had $5,000 for each one to do the roadways there, which I think is high. And again, that's just a number probably was thrown in there. It doesn't reflect to the whole budget part of it. But I think if you were putting in for a budget, I think that would be awful high to come to council and ask for $10,000 for the marina and that it's something I think I would definitely would look into or cut that down in half. Oh, there's another thing on your financial thing here. Where was it here now? On the Iroquois campgrounds, heating, fuel, and gas. Where are these numbers coming from? For fuel and gas and heat, because there's no heat in the building to start with. So I don't know where these numbers are coming from. Like especially when we're not using natural. Well, you're using natural gas for water heater. So I guess is just from the water heater? Really?
Yes.
That seems, well, okay. Just seems like a lot for 5 months, that's all. It just kind of stuck out there to me.
You have to pay 12 though, don't forget.
Okay?
You have a
Well,
base
I
charge
know,
of 12.
Yes, but I mean actual usage, like your delivery charge every month is like, I know my shop's is like $32 to bring gas if you don't use it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Councilor Wells, just it's an annual thing
Yeah.
for a deal, that's all.
And getting back to, where are we? Like our hydro costs, there's just a perfect example where that metering would come in that actually would be pretty much eliminated because it'd be all paid except for the campground building itself. And trust me, with the system they have in there for programming, that building won't use any hydro whatsoever. But so those numbers will probably change if we could get a metering system for the campground. I think that's it for now, Mayor. I might have something after, but I think that's it for now.
Okay. Austin, any comment on the internet? I know that John Ross had mentioned to the campers that he's got a system that would work well, and I'm not going to dispute what he has. However, I know that the challenge at the campground is there's no fiber link going from Elizabeth Drive to the campground itself. We're on ExploreNet currently, correct?
Yes.
So I see you're starting to charge, or the campground would have internet by 2021. What is that, what we have it currently, or is that something new?
So that would be using what we currently have. I know, like Councilor Wells said, the campers expressed this past summer when we didn't have Wi-Fi, they were discussing how the service was in the last few years, and they said the Wi-Fi we had last year wasn't very up to par and it was weak at times. So John has, from what I understand, developed a system or program that he would like to install to service the campground and would provide better internet.
Okay, and he's right, but I did challenge him. He needs the fiber link from the East Link line into the campground building, and that's never been priced, as far as I know. And I don't know what East Link would charge for that, but from what I've heard from others, they don't do that for nothing.
Well, just the discussion, I'm not no internet whiz or Wi-Fi here, but John's was based on like a satellite type system.
Not when we had our when we had our waterfront committee and
You
he
did?
had brought
Unless
that
it's-
idea. Yeah, he's got this big antenna that would beam out, but he needs the line coming in to hook into it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
you
There's-
can't amplify
No, I know.
the ExploreNet coming in because it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I understand they're complaining about it, and if they feel that's a service they require, then fair enough. My opinion, if you want a service, you got to pay for the service. But it's the line coming in that nobody wants to do, and I challenge you. You got to get that line in, and then you'd have super internet. I'm on Eastlink cable. You know, it's never slow, and we're sending probably an Eastlink in here. Deborah May Garden is not on Eastlink, and she knows what it's like to be on, you know, whatever ExploreNet gives you, and that's not greatest when it comes to what they want, because you have to remember, every time someone's sucking on that line, it's just like a water line,
Oh, yeah,
right?
for
You run
sure.
out of water eventually.
No, I agree with you there, Mayor. But I think it's something that we have to look into, because today everyone wants, whether like you're 80 years old, people still anymore, not all of them, but a majority of them want internet. So, and yeah, there's something as far as the line. Like I said, I'm sure it's the way you said it, but it's something we can ask John Ross about, or maybe go and see what's this new tower going up here? Is this for the internet or communication
Haven't heard. Don't know.
over there? Okay. But anyway, yeah, there's the internet, and the rest of the stuff is, I'm good.
Okay.
Let's see where it goes.
I'll have my list. And then I see.
Can I add my 2 cents, please?
You're back there, are you?
I'm listening.
Go ahead. I know you have experience with this at the campground and have heard all the whatevers from it.
So one of the challenges at the campsite is that every camper at the campsite thinks that they're going to have the best internet there. Doesn't matter what corner of the campsite they're in, and that's never going to happen. I've spoken with John Ross, and we were going to put up his equipment this year, and because the building didn't open, we decided not to put the equipment on the roof yet, because we would only have to pay for the winter when there's no one there. So we decided to wait until spring, and I believe he can hook up to ExploreNet there, and I'm sure it'll function better than it functioned before with the equipment that he has. That was my understanding.
Okay, well, give it a go and see where it goes. I don't disagree if ExploreNet can handle the load, because what you have now for load is pretty small, but because they can't get at it. But I know that getting the signal out is your number one. You know, it's just like a Wi-Fi router in a house. It is not very capable of sending a signal out. You got it in your room and you don't have it anywhere else, whereas a good router can be 100 feet away yet and still pick up the signal. So. Okay, that it?
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so these are the questions I had, Austin, as I went through, and you know, you've done a good job. I like the way the sheets work out. Campground's the same basis as the marina, except the campground has made money in the past. I know that now there's a reserve for it, and this, in theory, goes back to the campground, and that's not a bad idea as long as all the costs are allocated correctly. Once again, I'm going to mention about the non-allocation of supervisor and coordinator costs. I think you're going to be busier than you think, because the after hours thing needs to be taken care of somehow or some way, because If your hours are 10 to 6 and then something happens at 7, somebody's going to call in and somebody's going to have to do that work. And I suspect there's some needy people there. The trees around that campground are in pretty sad shape, and you know, the campground needs to be allocated correctly if we have to do tree work there instead of just going to recreation into the big pot. I like your idea expanding slowly. It does make sense. Now, if Mr. Ross, and I must mention name because it's well known that he wants to pay for an expansion, fair enough. I think the best thing there for him to do is allocate us the money that he thinks is fair, and then we will look after the work, because I think it's just going to cause, it could cause issues down the road. I think you've got a good handle on where you want to go, and I think that's where I'd like to go with it. Drainage is a concern that you're going to have to deal with, and needs to be charged right, whether we do the work or we hire someone to do the work. I do agree that the seasonal rates are a little on the low side. I will caution you on trying to make them higher in a hurry, because I know that I was on a council that attempted that, and we will fill chambers up, and I don't want to do that. However, I don't think 2% a year is fair. Everything else is going up steeply, but if the seasonals are a little on the low side compared to our market, then I think we need to be at least somewhere in the market that makes sense, but not all at once. And one of the things I thought of, and I don't know how much South Dundas taxpayer dollars went into the campground building specifically. I know we used fuel tax dollars. We have any other grant money we use that our share, our 350 share, how much of that was tax dollars?
My understanding was the federal gas tax, and it was the campground reserve money that went into the campground. That was our 350,000. But I believe the additional money we allocated last year, which was for the natural gas hookup, which was about 20 grand, I believe that came from tax levy, I believe.
Okay. Well, I think you need to allocate, whatever we paid for it over time, and you have to allocate some dollars back into a capital fund for repairs someday, so it doesn't all creep up on you. It's just like what we've done at the fire departments and have made reserves for capital. I think that's the fair way of looking at that. Other than that, from our last campground or last waterfront committee meeting in Iroquois, we did have some campers there, and they had nothing but good to say about you, Austin, and running the marina. So I think the key for whoever's there as a seasonal has to be that personal person that wants to help people and can deal with some challenging issues that sometimes don't make sense but have to be done. So it's just no different than the marina. The right people in the right role will make that place thrive. There's no doubt about that. But making sure that the dollars allocated to that are fair, and if we're going to put in a reserve and use those dollars for expansion, or if you need to borrow from taxpayer reserves for an expansion over 5 years, then that makes all logical sense too. So that's what I had. So that's all I've had for now, so we'll go back around the table at Deputy Mayor Gardner and then...
Yeah, I just a couple of points. The transient sites, I agree with Councillor Wells that I think, in my mind anyway, and Austin, you've alluded to it in your report, the seasonal and the group camping I think is very interesting. I think you can do something with it. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. But we really should just be hammering and getting as many seasonals as possible. And my comments about comparables around, I know there's a big difference. Maybe this or next year, this year or 2022 will be the year that the increase in the seasonal rate is to cover the electrical meter. Maybe that's the way to do it. It's kind of a justifiable expense where you're just adding on that. But no, I like the slow and steady. I like your enthusiasm, and it's very clear in both the Marina report and the campground report that you have a passion and an understanding of both these properties. And I think that, no offense to anyone previously, but I think that it's nice to see that we're going to elevate our game for both of those properties and kind of give them the shot that they deserve to see if we can do things a little differently and maybe grow them up a little bit. So thanks, Austin.
Louis?
No more to say, but I do like your reports, and I like where you're going with these, Austin. Thank you.
Councilor Mallon?
No, I think you got a good grasp on, and there's been some good discussion around the table here. I guess Deputy Mayor Gardner alluded to on the marina, as far as marketing, for the campground. Maybe you can do the two of them together or whatever, but your plan is, I'm assuming, to roll out the marketing early in the new year for the campground with the marina, or is it going to be separate or connected to, or?
Yeah, so the plan is to roll them both out at the beginning of the year, and there will be components where they're marketed together, and then also they'll have their own separate component for campers and boaters to look at as well.
Okay, thank you. That's, nothing else.
Councilor Wells?
I have no more questions.
Okay, so you've got a few more points from council. I think, council appreciates all the work you've done on both these reports. I guess polish them up a bit and use them for coming back to council with a firm business plan on how we're going to go there, and then we'll look forward to budget and how it all works out in the wash. So if there's nothing else, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And with that, then we're going to be moving into closed session because B and C are going to be taken off our agenda. So before we move into closed session, I'd like to thank council so far. Thank Austin, Danielle, and anyone else that has participated in the current meeting from staff, and like to thank the audience for participating this morning. Once council goes into closed session and comes back into open session, we will be just adjourning for the day, and no other business will be done for today. So with that, Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Wells, second by Councillor Lewis, that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas proceed in camera pursuant to Section 239B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much.